Do not open doors to strangers at night. A very scary horror story. The last part. And they only want you at night so they can have fun with you. Do you now know why you have to lock your house at night and never open the door? And we continue the story of never opening doors to strangers at night. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I sat crying in horror, not knowing what I would do now, what the woman and the man would do, where I would find my little sister, and where I would find my sister. That woman was crazy or a jinn. Seeing on the roof was easier due to the moonlight. I went down to the bathroom window and opened the door and looked inside the washing machine and said, "I am your brother. Do not be afraid." She ran towards me, hugging me tightly while she was afraid. I felt reassured, but I was still afraid. We were still at home. We went out the back door through the back stairs to the street. I was holding the hand of my little sister who was walking behind me. I remembered our maid who was sleeping on the roof. I told her, "Do not worry about her. We will go out and then come back." She said with fear, "But they will reach her, brother." I told her, "Do not be afraid, my sister. I have locked the door to the roof." I believe that women do not know how to open doors. I hope that her husband will be like her. We were barely able to escape. I will not return to expose myself or my sister to danger. I will call 911 after we can get out. I believe that a woman does not know how to open doors, and I hope that her husband will be like her. We barely managed to escape, and I will not return to expose myself and my sister to danger. I will call 911 after we are able to leave. Do not be afraid, my sister. Finally, we arrived at the door of the building. Thank you. For God's sake. They didn't lock it. We went out and ran quickly through the small garden of the house, and the main door of the house was a few steps away. My sister said, "I can't run. I'm tired, brother." All the windows of the house were opened at once, and all the lamps were lit, and then all the lights were closed again. It turned itself back on again, as if there was someone playing around with the lights and electricity inside, and the loud, frightening sound of the whistle. I took my sister's hand and carried her on my back. But before I took a single step outside the house, I was surprised by that huge thing blocking the door of the house like a wall in my path. And I realized from its stability that it was the strange man. And I heard his voice saying, "Are you more afraid of the dark or of death?" He started repeating some strange words very quickly. Then he raised his arm to point to the roof of the house. I looked there and saw something hanging and tied with a rope from his neck. The maid was hanged and dead. Here, a woman came out wearing a black abaya, and her long black hair covered most of her face. And she was walking as if she was flying on the ground, as if someone was pushing her from behind, and she was repeating some incomprehensible words and looking at us with strange, terrifying looks. And her husband behind me was exchanging those words with her while laughing, and they were getting closer and closer. And our house was emitting strange lights. I did not feel my feet at that time. I fell to the ground with the collapse, and I screamed in terror, and my little sister screamed, and we said, "Oh Lord," and here a voice rose, "God is great. God is great." It was the dawn call to prayer coming from a mosque near our house, and that man and his wife, and the man stopped, and his wife was silent, and then the rest of the mosque started repeating "God is great." Their features changed a lot, to frowns and then anger. The man said angrily, "You will pay the price." Then he disappeared all at once with his wife. I was trembling as I looked at the maid upstairs, and my sister passed out on the floor. The police arrived, and my father and mother arrived, and they considered the maid's death a suicide. No one believes what I say about that genie and his wife. They said that the reason for my little sister's loss of mind and madness was because she saw the maid's suicide corset. I tried to continue my life, but I was still very afraid of the dark, and I remember the genie's words as he repeats, "Are you more afraid of the dark or of death?"